Today's game was recommended in a comment. If you have a game that you want to recommend to me, leave a comment. And if it's something that I own or have access to and I'm interested in, when I play it, I will post your comment in the top of the video, like this. Thanks. Hey guys, I'm Max92, and welcome back to another tryout. I'm feeling a little off today, I have to say. A bit hungover. I picked up a Rock Band controller over the weekend at a convention and was up a bit too late. Drowning my sorrows from this latest case with some Clone Hero. But we'll get to that in a moment. Today's tryout is on Backbone. Now, before we get to Backbone, we gotta start at the beginning of the story here. And the beginning of the story here is the Xbox app for PC. Now, I've had my struggles, my in and outs with the Xbox app for PC over the last couple years or so, maybe the last year. But for some reason, when I went to boot up this game, like last night, it wouldn't open. I clicked it, I installed it, I clicked play on some other games I had installed in the Xbox app. Those didn't work. I uninstalled Backbone and reinstalled it. I restarted my computer, verified installation. The Xbox app is just trash. I'm not going to get into it, but bad. But because of that, instead of playing Backbone on PC, as I would like to, being that it's like a point-and-click adventure, I ended up having to play it on the Xbox Series X with the controller. And the way that I recorded that was I just used Remote Play on PC and then used OBS to record that. So if it looks a bit more pixelated than usual, that's why, because I was streaming to PC, because I just didn't feel like going out in the living room. Now that we've gotten through that part, I can finally talk about Backbone, the game. Now, the big thing that I think Backbone has over like all the rest of its pieces is its aesthetic. You can just look at it. It's really, really detailed, well-animated pixel art. And on top of that, the music is all very solid as well. Goodbye. I mean, as a musician, I can nitpick and be like, there's some stuff that doesn't feel as like professional as it could, but like, it's just, you know, for the style that it's going for, it fits very well. The aesthetics of the game are great. In addition to the aesthetics, what this game also has going for it is its narrative and writing. Talking on the writing more specifically, the dialogue. The way that you can like choose your choices and craft conversations with people, and the way that it kind of feels like there is some direction, some stuff that you can affect here. Not sure how much, but it feels like you can affect the direction of some of these conversations. You know, I went through when I was playing, and I just didn't tell anyone, I just didn't tell most people my actual name. Because, you know, as a private investigator, it's unwise to run around telling people who you are. They'll become suspicious of you. So you sort of make stuff up, you lie. That's just how it is being a private investigator. And that there was those options to do that, as well as being like aggressive or more passive or whatever. There were a lot of varieties in the way that you could play the main character, who is a raccoon man named Howard. I don't know how much this will ever like go to accomplish anything in the end. I don't know how variable the narrative path is of the game. But the way that it's set up in this first act, I played a little over the first act, is interesting. And the way that the narrative sort of slowly pulls you in through that first act, I think works well enough. It's got a decent amount of a narrative hook to it, to where I'm like, okay, so what's going on? However, it is a bit cliche. It's the whole, like, a normal private investigator, my husband is cheating on me or whatever case that turns out to be a part of a bigger, more grand, dangerous situation, and then the protagonist does the whole like, I don't want to do it, but do I have to do it? I probably have to do it because no one else could. It's a bit cliche, but I think cliches aren't bad, they're just overused. And so like I think if you take a cliche and you do a really good version of it, or you pull some spins on it as you go along, cliches are fine. Getting into some more negative pieces here, I just feel like the actual game plays very slow, at least with the controller. Just even running doesn't feel that fast when you're moving across the screen. The loading screens, some of them were a bit longer than you would expect them to be. Like, I don't know if the aesthetic and the dialogue rating can hold up the game, especially if, like, I saw some reviews that mentioned that the narrative doesn't hold up through the whole thing. So, not sure if it will hold up through the whole experience or not, but I've only played a little over an hour, so that's what I'm basing my stuff on for now. And basically, I don't think I can recommend playing it on a controller, on a console. Like, if you want to play Backbone, your best bet is likely to get a PC copy and play it as a point and click, which I feel like this is the recommended way, the way that you're supposed to do it, not trying to, like, run around on a controller. There are some sections that were, like, I feel like I'm supposed to have a cursor or something. Like, there's these corkboards which have all these little dots on them that you can click through to look at, but you're just clicking directions on the D-pad and it just takes you to the next one. It's not always intuitive what is next in line either, or if like you can go up and down, or like what sort of selection options are there. And then there was also another situation where there was a puzzle where you had to sort of line up some pieces of paper to figure out a code based on how the cuts in the paper worked and whatnot. And like, in order to move the pieces around, it feels like something you'd have a cursor, you'd click on them, and you'd move them around individually, just clicking and dragging. But in this, with the controller, you select through them on the D-pad and move them with the analog stick. And clicking A just brings it to the front, the top of all of the items, because it's just a bunch of pieces of paper. And it just sort of like, that's really bad for like just play feel on a controller. That's just not a great experience on a controller. And that was only one puzzle, and like I haven't really even seen any other puzzles where I'm trying to figure stuff out, so I don't know how much the game has stuff like that in it. So that might just be some stuff that was in the early game that there's not as much of as you go forward. So I don't know. My final verdict here is I am interested. I will likely play some more of it just to see if I can feel out if I have any stronger feelings. So from that perspective, it passes its tryout, but it's sort of a mixed feeling on it. I think my experience, what I was playing, and it was a bit late last night, so that might have affected my opinion. And some of it also might be affected by the fact that I was playing stream to PC, and I had all that trouble getting the game to run, and I also came across some more negative reviews that colored my experience a little bit. But I just was sort of like, I kind of would rather just watch this as a movie. Like, it just feels like the interactability isn't as beneficial to the experience as it might be in other games. But that's just sort of like, again, there's a lot of things that could have colored my experience, and this is also based off of just a little over an hour. So it could get less slow as it goes on. It could just be that I was walking around doing a bunch of stuff I didn't need to do, or doing stuff in the wrong order or whatever. So there could be, that player error sort of situation involved in it, but that's just sort of my feeling. I'm going to play more. I think it passes a tryout for now, but I'm just sort of like mixed on it a little bit. It's just sort of like, okay, it looks good, it sounds good, and the writing, the dialogue rating is pretty good, but like, that could just be a movie, looking, sounding, and being written well. So we'll see. I guess as I play more, I'll see if I like it more, and if I don't make another video on it, it will at least be in the season 3 follow-up when that comes out. So keep an eye out for that in a while. Well, that's all I got to say about Backbone. Hopefully I've kept this relatively brief. If you like the video, like it, dislike it, subscribe, comment, share, down in the description, links, do the things. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!